I'm Catee, and I'm the creator in residence for December for the Spokane County Library District. Okay, so today we're gonna do some fondant and chocolate work. A little background on me: I decorated my first pretty cake probably 7 years ago. The kids wanted a puppy dog on the top, and I said, okay, I'll try, because I watched the Food Network and they taught me how. And since then, I've just kind of studied and watched YouTube videos, watched shows, read about how to do more cake and fondant work like that, and it's turning into more than just a hobby. Now I get paid to do cakes and work out of my home, just part-time. How today will go, I'm going to show how to make marshmallow fondant, which I think is much tastier than regular fondant. And then you can make whatever you want on it. All the embellishments on my cakes are made out of that. And then I'm also going to show how to make the modeling chocolate. And then after that, we will make roses out of each one. And then you can take it home. Sound good? All right, and I do have papers that, like she said, that have the recipes you guys can take home, because they're not my recipes, they're from online. I just tweaked them a little bit. So first, the marshmallow fondant. I have melted down a whole bag of mini marshmallows and added water and vanilla. So we're gonna whip that up. It still is pretty sticky, almost like a liquid. And then we're just gonna add powdered sugar to it till it gets stiff. And keep working it until it turns into what we're gonna use today. I always like to sift my powdered sugar, because then you can get all of the lumps out of it. Fondant won't have big chunks in it. This is actually a rice scooper, but it works really good. You want to add probably 2 cups at a time to start with. For one batch of this fondant, it takes about 5. It kind of depends on what the humidity is outside. It's a lot like bread. So if it's more humid outside, it will need a little bit more to make sure that it gets that stiff consistency. So we're just gonna keep working it. It's very, very gooey. So I like to keep a container of shortening next to me when I work with this, because you can coat your hands with it and it won't stick to your hands, because otherwise you made like Rice Krispie treats and the marshmallow sticks to your hand. Okay, so it's getting a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna add a little bit more. If you make this recipe just like it says on the paper, it will work just fine. But if you add a tablespoon of Tylose powder, it will create more elasticity. So when you are working with it, it stretches a little bit more, has a little bit more give to it. Tylose powder. Let's see if it says what it actually is. It's like Gum-Tex. So it just increases the elasticity of it when you're working with it. Just keep working it in. And I decided to do all of this in front of you so that you could see just how long it takes. It doesn't take very long at all. It can sometimes be overwhelming when you like read the recipe and you have to keep adding and stuff like that. So. Okay, so this is sucked up a lot and it's gotten a lot thicker consistency now to where it doesn't really move at all. So I'm gonna switch to my dough hook and we're gonna knead it a little bit in the bowl and then I will knead it on the table to finish it off. So I'm gonna add one more cup. Sometimes you need a little bit more powdered sugar, sometimes you need a little bit less, but you want it to be a pretty stiff dough, much thicker than a bread dough. Yes.
If you don't have a mixer like that, just use a hand mixer.
I wouldn't use a hand mixer on it unless you, I think you'll burn out your mixer because it ends up being such a stiff dough. If you did the first part and then kneaded the rest of the dough in by hand, I think that would work. Yeah. I wouldn't bring it all the way to this thick consistency though. So it's really thick now, it doesn't run at all. And I'm gonna coat my hands with the shortening. This is the gross part. I'm gonna dig it out. It's very, very sticky. You just want to knead it until it gets pretty shiny on the outside. And this is also where you would add coloring. Yes? I'm just using like it's not the butter flavor, just the regular Crisco. Yeah. And you don't use a whole bunch. It doesn't get sucked in too much. And then you just let it sit, wrap it up in plastic wrap, and then you let it sit overnight, and then it'll be ready to go the next day. It gets pretty solid, pretty firm, but you can color it at this stage if you know what colors you're going to use, or you can wait until, I wait a lot if I'm just doing small projects and I don't really know what color I'm going to do. So that is the marshmallow fondant. You actually leave it at room temperature and it lasts up to 4 months. It lasts a long time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. That is what you have in front of you. Yep. Okay. So, does anybody else have any questions about the marshmallow? Yes? No. I have never made the kind that you would normally get from like a store-bought cake. I've never actually made that. There's lots of different ingredients. I know that you can buy it online. There are also other cake decorators that will mix a white chocolate in with their fondant to kind of make it taste better, because fondant's pretty, it's kind of rubbery, I guess. Yeah. It's very quiet. Okay. Yeah, definitely. I have 5 left. So the modeling chocolate is very, very simple. It is 2 ingredients. When I looked into purchasing it online, I was kind of amazed that it cost as much as it did, because they just call it chocolate plastic online, I guess. And so I decided that I would try and find a different way to make it. And it is chocolate chips and corn syrup. That is all it is. So I'm gonna put on other gloves again. And this recipe I also have available for you guys in the back. And it tastes like a gourmet Tootsie Roll, I guess. I don't know, it's really good. So I've just melted, this is 8 ounces of chocolate chips. I use the Ghirardelli 60% because the darker chocolate seems like it doesn't melt as fast when you're working with it. The heat from your hands can really make the chocolate when you're working with it melt quickly. So to 8 ounces of melted chocolate chips, you want to let it, after you melt it, cool down to about 90 degrees, so it's not too hot. And then you add a 1/4 cup of corn syrup. And at this point, you have to work very quickly because it will seize on you. Stir it as fast as you can. Because it will tighten up. Immediately. Yeah. And you can see all the oils and stuff coming out of the make sure all of the corn syrup is worked in there and there's not any like smears of chocolate on your hands, because then that means that the chocolate's not all incorporated with it. And then you wrap this also in plastic wrap, and then you let it cool for about 15 minutes. You can put it in your fridge so that it comes back down to a regular temperature, and then you can use it. And that seriously is how easy that is. It's very easy. What was that? Oh, do I store it? Yeah, I do. You can store this one at room temperature as well, but this one lasts about 2 months. So it's a little bit less time. I think you would use, it's not that much, you would use it. You would use it up if you had some projects, or you would come up with some projects. Yes, yes, my kids like this one. Okay, so for 2, 4, 5 rows, we are going to use 2 for the center, 2 petals for the center, and then 4, and then 5. That's how we're gonna build this. So to start, you're gonna want to pull off little pieces, and you're just gonna roll them in a ball. They can be similar in size, but you want to end up with 11. Are they sticking to it? Yeah, hold on just a second. Okay, so you can coat your hands a little bit with the shortening, and that will help. So you want to spread them out a little bit on one piece of your wax paper because we're going to push them down, so you don't want them to touch when they start spreading. You want to squish them a little bit so that they don't roll away when you put your top. Kinda. You put your top piece on. She's ready to go. I use either Wilton colors or Americolor. Americolor seems like they give a much more intense color, but they are also more expensive. We're gonna put the other piece of wax paper on the top so that they don't stick, and you're gonna use your roller to flatten them out into little petals. This is where you'll have to share. Little rollers. What was that? They should be pretty thin, not quite paper thin. They don't need to be that thin. They will dry out, but we're going to work with them fast enough that they won't. Okay, so you're going to pick 2 petals, and the top half of the petal, you're going to run your thumb or your index finger across the top of it so that it kind of thins it out a little bit more, just on one half, because that will be the top of the petal. So you want it to be a little bit thinner, because the thicker bottom part of it will help build the base of the rose.
A large one or a small one?
It does not matter. It won't matter. Let's just do it for the first 2, and then you can see how they come together, and then we can do the rest. Careful when you pull back your wax paper, because sometimes it likes to stick. So you want to gently pull those 2 petals off. So you're gonna take one petal and you're gonna start rolling it with the thin side up, the thinnest part. You're gonna start rolling it in on itself like this till you get about halfway. And then you're going to slide your other petal in next to it and keep rolling. Mm-hmm. So they interlock, yes. So then you want to push that piece so that it makes one cylinder. And that'll be the little bud center part. So you want to choose 4 leaves next, or petals next, and then thin out the top half, just like we did for these two. And you don't want to touch the top of it. We'll do all of the petal bending at the very, very end. Yep, we'll roll them in and you're gonna kind of tuck them in just like you did with the 2 to start with, only we're gonna do 4. Yeah, well, you're gonna wrap it around that middle part. Yes. So you wanna take the bud that you made first, and you're gonna continue wrapping, but before you close this piece, you want to tuck in a piece before you do that, so that your petals interlock like we did for the center. Yes. So then we're going to push that one to close, and then we'll repeat for the final time around with the last 5 petals. Did you start over? Yeah. Oh, that's okay. When you're doing cake decorating and you're making edible embellishments like these, you want to make sure that everything that you're making that's ready to eat, like you can eat this, you do use gloves for sanitary purposes. I said dragé in my other class because the little decorating balls are called dragés. So I don't know. I'm like, what are you, French? French. So if you finished wrapping it all, wow, you went fast. Okay. So you want to squeeze from the bottom, where the bottom of your petals are, so that it kind of pushes the other petals out, because you'll cut this bottom part off. And you can use your fingers and roll back the petals so that they look like rose petals. And you can use a toothpick when you do this, or you can just use your regular fingers. Just to show some different dimension in the different petals. I might have some toothpicks. Oh, did you want to see that one? Anybody else?
This is much more time consuming than like a rose petal tip on a regular icing.
That is why,
Do you do it
yes.
for big flowers more?
Do I do this technique for big flowers more? I've done all. It kind of depends on what the customer wants. Some of them want specialty flowers that are hand done, and some want ones that are piped on. Yes, it does take a long time.
Is there an advantage on the Catee using fondant flowers like this rather than the regular, I don't know what to call it, regular icing or something, the pipe with the bag?
Is there a, what was that?
Is there an advantage, like longevity, or do they transport better, or?
I think it's just personal preference. I mean, you get a finish, the finished look is different, I think. Buttercream would melt definitely more quickly than this would in the heat, for sure. These will harden when they dry, yes. This is the modeling chocolate that I made earlier, and this is what it does when it solidifies. And sets
So
up.
if you were going to dry
Yes.
this rose upside down, you would probably set it on something and you could hang it or something, or how do you do that?
If you were going to hang them upside down, you would want to start them with a wire in them, and then you could hang them upside down. But we didn't start this one with wires.
Is the wire just straight, or is it like a curl on the end?
You can curl it.
Falling off?
Yeah, you usually when you would start in the center, and you would put a little loop in your wire so that the fondant has something to stick to. So you're gonna wanna roll your chocolate flat, put it in between your wax paper again. No, we're gonna roll it flat, one big piece. So we're gonna need 5 circles, 5. And you're gonna use the little shot glasses to cut out your circles. If it starts melting too much, let me know, because I have ice packs that you can set it on and it will help harden it up. You'll need 5 of those. It's pretty thin, kind of like we did with the fondant. can cut 3 and then re-roll for your next 2. Yeah.
Circumference of the bottom or top of
The top. These won't have to stay perfectly circular either. Gloves will really help when you work with chocolate because the heat from your hands is kind of blocked a little bit, not completely, but my hands get really hot when I'm working with stuff, so if it starts melting, then you can set it, what you're working on an ice pack that's covered in saran wrap, and it will help harden it up pretty fast. Okay, so you're gonna use your knife and you're gonna cut each one in half. And then it's gonna go really fast from there because we're just gonna roll the middle one really tight and then just keep adding and let them flare out. So cut these all in half first. So you want to find the smallest piece that you have and then kind of work up in sizes. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be perfect, but the smallest one on the inside will be the most helpful because then you can roll the inside of your flour really tight. And you just want to take it from one end and roll all the way closed. Yes, completely closed. So you're gonna take your next petals one at a time. And every time you add a petal, you wanna make it go a little bit higher than the last one. And you're just gonna continue to wrap. Wrap around. I did, yes, I put the tube in the middle of it. So you're gonna keep wrapping around. You're gonna get a chocolate tail. Just pinch that off. Above. Yes. So your petals will get taller and taller. Slightly, yeah. Not like we did the last time. You're gonna close each one. Close each one. We're not going to stick the petals in before we continue wrapping.
And why are we doing it different with the chocolate than we did with the?
I'm just showing you a different technique. Yep. So you want to start your next one over a little bit so that when the petals build, they're kind of staggered. And when you start adding the end ones and you look at it, you can kind of see where you need to add your petals so that it makes it a little bit more even. If you squeeze at the bottom, but not so much at the top, you can roll your petals back a little bit easier. Yes. There you go. Good. adding until you've used all of your petals. Right? That is all I have for you guys today. Does anyone have any questions? Did you like it?